All right, so what I've got for you all today is going to be a top 10 list of my top 10 signature scent worthy scents that I have currently in my collection. Most of these are going to be, I guess you could say, more kind of masculine leaning style sort of signature scents. Some of these are going to be completely unisex, and then, one or two or so are going to be, I would say, specifically for women. So I'll let you all know which one those are. And just to kind of get the list started off here, this one is definitely going to be more of kind of like a unisex signature scent. And this is actually from Yam and Lael. And this is their take on Another 13. This is called Another Romance. So I have tested this one alongside Another 13. And this is actually a very good interpretation of Another 13. So absolutely, it is going to be better than something like Paris Corner's Soothing Zephyr, I believe is what it's called. This one, while to me it definitely it lacks a little bit of richness, that you get from the original from Le Labo. For the most part, I'm gonna say that this one is still at least over 90% close to Another 13. It just doesn't have, again, as much richness, especially in the opening with those like really kind of sweet sort of citrusy notes that you get from Another 13. They do stand to stick out, a little bit more in the original from Le Labo. But for the most part, I feel like you're kind of getting the same experience for the most part, at least with this fragrance. So I'll have a link in the description to where you can purchase all of these fragrances on the list. But obviously, this interpretation from Yam and Lael, this is going to be a lot more affordable. And I mean, it is, again, very, very close to the original from Le Labo. So I do enjoy this one. I think that this one, for me, it would definitely be close enough to the original from Le Labo for me to, just be happy with a bottle of this one. Because, again, for the most part, it is giving you the same experience. It just doesn't come off as loud and as rich as what the Another 13 does. But again, for the price difference, I mean, you can't really expect much more than what you're getting from this. So really good interpretation from Yam and Lael. Again, this is Another Romance. All right, so the next one on the list, this one is from Luciano, and this is one of their newer Louis Vuitton inspired fragrances. This is Luciano's Spectacle. So this one, for me, this is going to be more kind of like a woman's signature scent. So this is their take on Louis Vuitton Stellar Times, which, even though that one is marketed as a unisex scent, to me, it just, again, it comes off as more of sort of like a feminine style scent. Obviously, a man can still wear this one. I'll say that I do enjoy smelling this on a woman. But whenever I do wear it, I can't say that I don't enjoy wearing it. I will say that. And this is just a really sort of, ambery, citrusy, and kind of slightly woody scent. Like the note breakdown on this is like very simple. I believe it's like maybe 3 or 4 notes. I want to say it's probably like bergamot, amber, orange blossom. That's the other main note that you get in this, and then like woody notes, I believe is what it is. But even though that, you get that really sort of simple note breakdown, this does smell like it's a lot more complicated than, what the notes kind of lead you to believe. And this, to me, like I said, it is a very sort of, to me, sophisticated, higher end, sort of feminine style scent that I feel like, if you're a woman and your signature scent in this fragrance, you do kind of have to be a woman who has your shit together. Like, you can't, when you wear this fragrance, you're going to have your hair done. You're going to have, really nice designer clothes on. You're gonna have, you know, heels on, and you're gonna have a certain sort of confidence about yourself when you're wearing this fragrance. This is just, it's one of those types of fragrances, at least in my opinion anyway. And I really, really enjoy the way that this smells. But again, to me, this is definitely something that would be more of a signature scent for a woman, you know, maybe a business owner, you know, a manager or something like that, you know, at a corporation, you know, someone of some sort of stature for the most part that is a woman. So again, man, if that sounds appealing to you as a woman, then I absolutely would recommend this one. Obviously, French Avenue, they have their take on Stellar Times as well, the Lumiere L. To me, this one just comes off as a little bit better than that one, and a little bit more sort of accurate and smoother, you know, when compared to the original. So again, check out Luciano's Spectacle. Next on the list is from the house of Joe Milano, and this is Joe Milano's Game of Spades Win. So Game of Spades Win, this is their take on Greenwich Village from Bond Number 9. And what I really like about this fragrance is, at least in the opening anyway, and I believe it's from the cassis note that you get in the Bond Number 9. This one just comes off as way more smoother than the Bond Number 9. It takes, like, you can still smell that cassis note in this one, but it's just like smoothened out so much more in this one. And the opening, at least for me anyway, it just comes off as so much more pleasant than what the Bond Number 9 does. Now, the Bond Number 9 to me, in terms of like the florals, especially once you start getting into the dry down, to me the florals are a little bit more higher quality than what the Game of Spades Win is. But I mean, for the most part, this is like, you know, 90-95+% close to Greenwich Village. This is, you know, definitely, in my opinion, the highest quality interpretation of Greenwich Village, you know, that you can get. Now, obviously, I haven't smelled all interpretations of Greenwich Village, so I mean, there may be another one from another fragrance house that's better than this. But you know, for like I believe I purchased this one for like around $60 or so for this 100 ml bottle. I feel like, you know, for that price range in this amount of juice, this is a very, very top quality, you know, interpretation of that fragrance for sure. Also, the performance on this is very good as well, you know, easily over 10 to 12 plus hours. And I mean, I believe the projection on this was about the same as what Greenwich Village was. So, you know, you can expect the same thing with that. But again, the opening on this is just so much smoother than what Greenwich Village is. And I mean, at least for me anyway, I do prefer that. So if you're someone who is kind of looking for something that's like, to me, this is a more floral, lighter, you know, summery version, you could say, of something like Baccarat Rouge 540. This doesn't come off as sweet or as dense as what Baccarat Rouge does. So at least for me anyway, I think that's why this is kind of like a better, you know, choice for like a signature scent, because you can wear this one in the summertime, you can wear it in the spring, you can wear it in the fall, and it is strong enough for you to wear in the wintertime as well. And, you know, it's going to give you a really nice, you know, bright, refreshing, you know, clean sort of, you know, floral smell to the fragrance with, I mean, just a tad bit of sweetness, you know, from like some citruses in the background of this fragrance. But it's a very kind of, you know, fresh floral style scent for sure, man. So absolutely, man, if you're a fan of Greenwich Village from Bond Number 9, I would absolutely recommend checking out Game of Spades Win from Joe Milano. All right, next one is also from Joe Milano, and this is also a part of their Game of Spades line. This is Game of Spades Wildcard. So Wildcard to me is like the most popular Joe Milano fragrance out there. And, you know, this is their take on Joe Milano's Lafayette Street. So this fragrance is, to me, one of the best sort of signature scent fragrances, you know, that you can wear. You know, this one, I don't know. I feel like this one is a little bit more kind of male leaning. Whereas, you know, like with the Game of Spades Win, to me, this one is kind of more so unisex, maybe even slightly on the feminine side, just depending on who you ask. But at least for me anyway, I would see more men kind of gravitating towards the Game of Spades Win. And that's the demographic that I see who, you know, kind of mention this fragrance or who I see purchasing it. And this fragrance, while it is definitely a sweeter style fragrance, you know, it has, I believe, notes like apple and vanilla. There may even be like some lavender in this one as well. It's still like fresh enough for you to be able to wear in warmer weather. Now, it just all kind of depends on where you live. So at least for me anyway, I wouldn't wear this in the summertime here in Las Vegas because it gets hotter than, you know, most other places on earth. But, you know, if you're in anywhere else in the, you know, the world where it's a lot more kind of moderate when it comes to the temperature in the summertime, this would definitely be even a good choice for you to wear, you know, maybe either on cooler summer days or definitely during, you know, summer nights when, you know, it starts to cool down for sure. This is, again, it's a very, very unique, but, you know, at the same time, I would definitely say a lot of people would consider this to be like a designer, you know, type of scent. And, you know, I do agree with that. It is definitely going to have that same kind of mass appeal that a designer fragrance would have. But in my opinion, it does still smell kind of higher end and, you know, more kind of like on that niche level in terms of the quality. Now, the quality on the Game of Spades when compared to Lafayette Street is not going to be 100% there. The florals, again, in this one are not going to be as good, you know, especially in the dry down, as what they are in Lafayette Street from Bond Number 9. But the Bond Number 9 is, I want to say the Lafayette Street is like almost $400. Whereas this one, I believe typically you can find this for like around 60 to 70-ish dollars for this 100 ml bottle. So the other thing to consider with this fragrance is this actually lasts considerably longer than what the Bond Number 9 does. So, you know, Lafayette Street, you're probably going to get like around 4 to 5 hours or so out of that fragrance in terms of longevity. Whereas with this, you're easily going to get over 8. So, you know, this one costs less, it performs better, and the quality is, you know, I don't know, at least about 90 to 95% there, you know, when compared to the Bond Number 9. So, you know, at least for most people, I think this fragrance is going to be, you know, worth it a lot more than what the original will. So definitely check out Joe Milano's Game of Spades Wildcard. Next one on the list, this fragrance, this has like a ton of different, you know, inspired fragrances out there that keep getting released. I would almost even say that this is kind of like the new sort of Aventus, you know, like of this sort of generation of fragrances. And this is Louis Vuitton's Imagination. So this fragrance, it gets a lot of hate. Like a lot of people say that it's overrated. A lot of people say that it just smells like expensive soap or laundry detergent or something like that. I don't really get that. You know, I mean, I wasn't even the biggest fan of this scent profile when I initially smelled it. But as I, you know, wore this fragrance, especially in warmer weather, this is just, it's become my favorite fragrance for sure. And I mean, it definitely was good enough, at least to me anyway, to where I felt like I needed to just go out and buy the original fragrance instead of, you know, kind of messing around with like the different inspired fragrances. Now, definitely the inspired fragrances are getting better. I do also have a inspired fragrance from Yom and Lael. that, you know, I'll be doing a video on here coming up soon. And then obviously you have the newer, you know, inspired fragrances from both Joe Milano as well as Al Haramain. Those are pretty good interpretations, but they just don't come 100% close to the original Louis Vuitton Imagination. This one, the way that this just comes off is, you know, how the wateriness is in this fragrance. It smells amazing. I love the way that the black tea is done in this. You know, the citruses in the opening. And, you know, this fragrance, at least on me anyway, it performs well enough to where you can wear this one all year round. Now, obviously, this one is going to perform a lot better like in the warmer months, you know, especially in the, you know, the late spring and the summer. But the longevity on this is pretty good. And I feel like it does have enough push to where you can still kind of wear this even in the cooler months, and still, you know, have people smell you, and you as the wearer still enjoy this fragrance. So I do really think this is an all year round fragrance for sure, man. And it is definitely, you know, signature scent worthy for sure. It's a very expensive choice for a signature scent. So, you know, if you're going to be wearing this one every day, you know, it probably would make a lot more sense for you to buy the bigger 200 ml bottle. You know, even though that one is over $400, the smaller bottle is like $330, I believe. And then I think the bigger one is like $450 or $460. To me, to get a extra 100 ml for like a little bit over $100 more, that just makes a lot more sense. But yeah, man, either way, Louis Vuitton's Imagination definitely is one of my favorite scents, and I absolutely think that this one would be signature scent worthy. Definitely more kind of on the masculine side, at least in my opinion anyway. But I do believe that this is marketed as, you know, just sort of like a unisex scent. So check out Louis Vuitton's Imagination. Next one on the list, this one is a inspired fragrance of a Louis Vuitton fragrance. And this is Fragrance World's Jacques Yves L'Infinite. So this is their interpretation of Louis Vuitton's L'Immensité. And this, to me anyway, is the best one. I mean, obviously you have fragrances out there like Jean Lo Immortal from Maison Alhambra. That one is definitely a lot more gingery. And it's just a denser, heavier scent in general. Not as watery as what this is. This definitely comes a lot closer to the original scent profile, and it's because of the way that the wateriness is done in this fragrance. The geranium to me is a little bit more accurate in this fragrance. And I mean, just overall, the herbs also are done a little bit more accurately in the L'Infinite than what they are in the Jean Lo Immortal. This one, you could definitely say that Jean Lo Immortal probably would perform a little bit better than what this one will in cooler weather. But I do think just overall, just as a signature scent, you know, whether it's the summer, the spring, winter, fall, I think this is the best interpretation of L'Immensité. And just, I think this is overall, man, just a really good scent. This is going to be a lot harder to find than Jean Lo Immortal. I think right now, the only site that you can really find this on is probably like oudstore.com, I think. You know, so definitely I'll have links in the description as long as this one is still available. But if you like that, you know, L'Immensité sort of scent profile where, again, it's really kind of watery, herbal, you know, you do definitely kind of get like a spicy sort of floral scents from the scent as well. Almost kind of like an old school sort of scent profile. I know this kind of gets compared to some scent from Tommy Hilfiger from, you know, back in, I believe, like the 90s or something like that is what this gets compared to. it definitely does kind of have like that 90s cologne style feel to it, but it does smell pretty modern or updated in my opinion. So it is definitely more of sort of like a male, signature scent in my opinion. So definitely check out Jacques Yves L'Infinite from Fragrance World. Next one on the list, this one is from Paris Corner, and this is part of their North Stag Expressions line. This is Duh, and this is their take on Parfums de Marly's Layton. So the reason that I have this one on the list, even though I think most people would probably consider Layton to be more of sort of like a fall and wintertime scent, to me, the way that the more newer formulations of Layton is, it's a lot less denser than what the previous versions have been. So this to me is still light enough and fresh enough to where you could wear this one in warmer weather. I think you would just kind of have to either check how many times you spray this one, or kind of more so reserve this for maybe cooler days or like nighttime wear for the most part in the summer. But this I still think is a fragrance that you could wear all year round, man. Summer, fall, winter, spring, it wouldn't matter. It's not too dense to where it would become cloying, in my opinion. And this is just a really sort of fresh, spicy, kind of oriental style fragrance. Has notes like apple, lavender, geranium, vanilla. Just a really, really just delicious, like I won't say gourmand delicious, but just a really delicious smelling scent that does have that kind of designer sort of mass appeal to it. But at the same time, it definitely smells like a high quality niche sort of, fragrance. And this interpretation from Paris Corner, at least so far anyway, to me has been the best interpretation of, Layton that I've smelled so far. The performance on it has been pretty good as well, easily over 10 hours with this each time that I wear it. And I mean, the projection on it is basically, it's the same as what I get from the original Layton for the most part. Layton, I think maybe you could say is a little bit more than what, this one is. But I mean, it's like a very slight difference. And again, this one is going to be considerably less than what Layton is. Layton is going to be over $300 or so for a full bottle, 120 ml, whereas this 100 ml bottle you can typically get for about $40 to $60 or so, depending on where you get it from. So absolutely, man, check out Dove from North Stag Expressions Paris Corner. Next one on the list, this one is definitely going to be a male targeted signature scent fragrance, just strictly male. And this one is from Chanel, and this is Bleu De Chanel Eau de Parfum. So this is definitely my sort of favorite blue scent, for sure, my favorite blue fragrance. I love, Sauvage. I love YSL EDP. I love, Versace Dylan Blue. And then even, I know a lot of people consider like Louis Vuitton's Meteore as like a blue scent as well. That one, you could say that, and that one is definitely growing on me a lot. But I will say that, at least for me anyway, the one that I enjoy the most is definitely Bleu De Chanel Eau de Parfum. In terms of, just wearing it. So I do like the smell of the parfum more than this one, but I enjoy wearing this one a little bit more. And the reason being is this one, it definitely projects a lot better than what the parfum does. And the grapefruit in this just comes off as being a little bit more brighter and sparklier than, what it does in the parfum. Parfum is definitely a little bit more heavier on like the woods, at least in that fragrance. And while that one is just, again, it's an amazing smelling scent, I do think that this is like the best one in the line. You know, again, the projection on this one is going to be very good, at least for about the first, I don't know, 2 hours or so. And then typically whenever I wear this fragrance, I mean, I get at least about 7 to 8 hours or so. Probably closer to 7, but you know, just depending on the day, sometimes around 8 or so hours of total longevity with this fragrance. And this is definitely one that you can wear all year round. So, I mean, I wear this one in the winter time. I wear it in the summer, fall, spring. It doesn't matter. Just whenever I want to have that kind of fresh shower gel type of smell, you know, and I want to wear something that's mass appealing, then this is definitely one of my choices for sure. And I could easily see somebody, you know, rocking something like this every day. You know, people rock Dior Sauvage every day. So, you know, I definitely could recommend, you know, wearing something like this every day. And again, this one would definitely be a signature scent for a man for sure. So definitely check out Bleu De Chanel Eau de Parfum from Chanel. Next one on the list, this is definitely going to be probably like the most exotic choice, I would say, that you could, you know, wear as like a signature scent. Definitely going to be a lot more kind of like on the male side, at least in my opinion anyway. But I do think that this one is still unisex. And this is going to be Azzure Aoud from French Avenue. This is their take on Mason Crivelli's Oud Maracuja. And this is definitely my favorite sort of, you know, oud heavy scent that I've smelled recently. I really love the way that this opens up with that passion fruit note. I think that's what really kind of like pulls me into this fragrance. I think if this fragrance, if it didn't open up with that, you know, really fruity passion fruit that it has, and it just more so kind of opened up with like leather, oud, and rose or something like that, I don't think I would necessarily like this fragrance as much. Now, the original fragrance, Oud Maracuja, it does smell better than this one, you know, by a little bit. The passion fruit in the original Oud Maracuja is definitely higher quality for sure. So, you know, if you're looking for the most highest quality version or the most natural smelling version, then you'll probably want to stick with the original from Mason Crivelli. But that one is going to run you considerably more money than what Azzure Aoud will. This one, to me, is like at least, you know, 90+% close, 90 to 95% close to the original from Mason Crivelli. Like I said, the passion fruit just doesn't come off as natural and as high quality smelling as it does in the Mason Crivelli. But I mean, outside of that, like once you start getting into the dry down with like the oud and like the really kind of smoky aspects of the fragrance, the leather, to me anyway, it doesn't really differ that much from, you know, the original Oud Maracuja. Now, also Oud Maracuja does project a little bit better than what this does, so that is something to consider. But again, it's not a huge difference. It's very minimal. And I mean, I would even say that, you know, probably for a lot of people, especially smelling this in the air, they won't be able to tell the difference. You know, obviously you can tell the difference smelling it up close, but in the air, I mean, I feel like most people probably won't be able to tell the difference. So if you like, you know, again, like really kind of fruity, but yet at the same time smoky, you know, oud, rose, and leathery style scents, then this is definitely one to try. And again, this is French Avenue's Azzure Aoud. All right, and then the last one on the list, this one I would also kind of consider to be, I guess you could say, like a unisex style scent for sure. You know, I see more men kind of gravitating towards this fragrance, but I do think that this is, just for the most part, kind of straight down the middle unisex. This is from Ahmed Al-Maghribi, and this is Amiri. So Amiri is their take on Arabian Ouds Amiri. And this is I mean, for the price, I feel like this is a very good interpretation. Now, I have smelled the original Arabian Oud Amiri, and that one does smell a little bit more higher quality, especially when it comes to the way that the woods are done in the the scent profile in general. The woods just seem more kind of realistic, warmer and creamier in the Arabian Oud than what they do in the Ahmed Al-Maghribi Amiri. So with this one, to me, the woods kind of come off as a little bit more on the synthetic side in this fragrance, and you can kind of tell that they're not as creamy and as warm as what they are in this fragrance, compared to the Arabian Oud. The Arabian Oud it smells higher quality, whereas this one, it kind of smells like they're using some sort of like aroma chemical or something like that to try to reproduce, that note. But for the most part, what this smells like, what the overall sort of scent profile smells like in general, is it does smell very similar to something like Bulgari's Tiger. It's not going to be as bright and as sort of light and airy as what Tiger is. It is definitely going to be a little bit more darker and dense, and it has some heavier notes, especially in the dry down. Like I believe vanilla is one of the notes this one has, but I think this one also has notes like amber in the dry down as well. So it does have a slightly different feel once you get to the far dry down of Amiri from Ahmed Al-Maghribi, as well as the Arabian Oud version, than what you get from Tiger. But when you first spray this on, I feel like from most people, especially if you smell Tiger, that's what this fragrance is going to immediately, remind you of, is something like Bulgari's Tiger. You'll be able to tell that it's not like completely the same, but it is definitely going to remind you of Tiger for sure. And I mean, I would say that's why this fragrance is a really good choice for a signature scent, because again, it's not as light as what Tiger is. So I feel like with Tiger, that's a fragrance that I more so kind of gravitate towards, like just for like warm weather for the most part. Whereas this one, I feel like you could easily, especially with the way that the dry down smells in this one, you could easily wear this one in the winter time, in the fall, in the spring. And then in the summertime, I would still wear this one even out here in Las Vegas, but I would just, kind of dial back on the sprays a little bit more, than what I would in the winter or the fall or something like that. So, again, if you smelled Arabian Oud's Amiri, but you don't necessarily want to spend, I believe that one is like around $200 or so, definitely check out Amiri from Ahmed Al-Maghribi on BanadeirFragrance.com. I think this one normally goes for like around $45 or so for this 100 ml bottle. So at that price, to me, it's absolutely worth it. And I mean, this comes at least like 90 to 95% close to Arabian Oud's Amiri. So really, really good choice, man. Again, for a signature scent. Definitely a unisex signature scent for sure. And again, this is Ahmed Al-Maghribi's Amiri. Next to list, man, that is my list of top 10 signature scents that I have in my collection. Let me know what you all thought about the list. Let me know if you have any or all of these fragrances. And also, I'll have links in the description to where you can purchase all of these fragrances. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see you all in the next video.